What's going on, Blerd, and everybody in between? It's your boy Wwe here with the Blerd Syndicate with another special episode of With the BS. Now, what we are talking about today is a really cool episode. We are talking about like the status of WWE. There's been a lot of things that have actually happened in the last like week or so, like pretty much in the last month. So we're here to discuss that because we had so much fun talking yesterday. We didn't even get to it. So of course, we got my partner in crime, KB. How you doing today?
Man, I am good. Just got off work. You're about to see a little bit of my house, I guess, because now Eros has decided he needs to go outside. Like he's throwing his about 50-pound now body into my front door. So we're gonna go address that.
Cool.
Oh, toward his pin. That's what all that light is. Are you yelling at me, man?
So, what we're gonna do, what we're talking about as far as that's concerned, is so WWE has a new CEO. It is Stephanie McMahon. So if y'all follow any wrestling back in the day, that is good old Vince McMahon's daughter. So what's happened in the last about month or so? There was this kind of big scandal that had gone on where Vince McMahon had a report that was published in the Wall Street Journal where he was talked about having misappropriated funds, where he had an affair with a woman, and in that affair, he's actually gone ahead and not only paid her off, but he also moved her up in the company so that he could be able to kind of keep her close. So once they started their sexual relationship, she was paid. She was a paralegal and she got bumped up to some kind of made up position. So it doubled her salary. And so then after a while, she went ahead and she actually wanted to leave, and Vince hit her with that good old NDA, and he's paid like over $3 million to her. So it's been a crazy situation. We got somebody else in here. Juan, what's going on, man?
Man, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, bet. Cool.
So what I was doing is just explaining what happened with Vince, and so then that prompted an investigation. So with that investigation, then they decided to say, okay, well, he's got to step down as CEO. And so he was still doing his other jobs and things like that. Then came out that in that whole time period, there turned out to be more and more accusations or more payoffs. Now, the problem with that is that he was paying people off with company money. So that's a big no-no. You can't pay people off with money that is made for the company, for the stockholders and things like that.
Yeah, once you become a public traded company, a
Mhm.
lot of that stuff goes out the window, man. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't mean to cut you off,
Oh no, bro.
but I've been following it lately because, like I told you personally, why WWE been in my life since I was born, you know,
Mhm.
and so like with this came, I'm like, man, he paid hush money to these females, and when I figured out that they was a public traded company, I'm like, oh man, he can go to jail for this.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
so
go
they've
ahead, brother.
actually found out that he was paying off people before. They haven't released any names, but there was a diva or a female wrestler that actually um he he didn't force her, but he peer pressured her into this is through the Wall Street Journal. Peer pressured her into oral sex, and then when she said that like she didn't want to do it anymore, she like he then stopped pushing her character, and then later on released her, and so then they had to sign an NDA going forward. And this was like a couple years afterwards when when it really started to be like big about, treating women with respect and things like that, which is sad to say. But after they did that, it was even crazier. So then he's actually, it's like $14 million that he's
Oh
had to do.
wow, it
So
jumped up.
what up,
Golly.
Tots? So so it's jumped up quite significantly. It's not a good look for but good old Vince. So then what happened last, I believe it was Friday. Vince said he's 77 years old. It's time to retire. This was at the heels of the latest Wall Street Journal thing that talked about the $14 million that he had. So he retired from all positions. So in that time period, the chief business officer, I think, is Nick Khan, and Stephanie McMahon are going to be the co-CEOs of this. So it was really crazy because he's essentially been doing what he wants to, but now he had to kind of give away, his power and things like that. So it was a kind of crazy situation.
So old boy got fired too, John Laurinaitis.
Yes.
Because
So
they
he
said
was.
he was doing the same thing. And
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong. That's just what I heard. He
Yeah.
was kind of in the same boat as Vince. So
Yeah. So John Laurinaitis is like the talent relations person. So John Laurinaitis is the one that talks to the talent, that gets them together. That, when it's time for them to get fired, Vince doesn't call them. John Laurinaitis calls you and tells you, "Hey, listen, we got budget cuts." So the thing that makes it really really crazy in this situation is, like, throughout this whole time, WWE has been claiming that, they had to let wrestlers go because of budgetary reasons. So then it's even worse because now they find out, like, well, you had some money, you've been using this money, and now it even makes it even worse though. Like,
hmm
during the time that they've said that they had budget cuts because of, financial things, it's actually been the highest paid years that WWE has ever had. So
hmm
so people were like, man, that sucks that y'all are firing us and y'all getting the most money that y'all can. And then after that, it comes out that the boss is banging all these other people. It was crazy.
So has
So
anything came out about how Linda feel, or it's just been quiet on her end?
they said that Linda is like, their marriage hasn't been their marriage for quite some time. Like, it's been more of a like an arrangement going forward, because I'm pretty
Oh,
sure she caught on, but she was doing her politics stuff, and so she needed to have that family look or perception
yeah,
going on.
understood.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and if she hasn't said anything by now, honestly, I wouldn't.
Hmm.
Is there's no point to her really coming out and saying anything,
Hmm.
because either way you cut it, like, this reflects more on him as long as her name isn't signed off on anything.
Hmm.
So unless it comes out, she was aware of what was going on and kept her mouth shut as well, like, there's no reason for her and her camp to address any of this going forward. Because what can you say? Like,
Hmm.
Well,
unfortunately, this is something that happens often, and people with money are going to do what people with money do. And like you said, the biggest issue here isn't necessarily, again, from a moral standpoint, you can have that conversation, whatever you want to have. The issue is the fact that he used company money to do what he did. That's the bottom line. That's the problem. That's why it's a legality thing. Because, like I said, I've seen a bunch of people like, oh, stepping out isn't necessarily like a legal issue, and why is he in so much trouble? Because he used company that's very much
Yeah,
illegal. You cannot do that.
you can't make it
like
rain on
like
the company's dime.
like
Exactly.
once they became a publicly traded company, then all company assets kind of went out the window. So I get it. You can't do this and can't do that. But at the same time, man, think about how many wrestlers they let go. They let go of a lot of great talent during this
And,
time, man.
and,
Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, it becomes a huge legality issue because
yeah,
I'm pretty sure at this point, unless there was something signed about waiving your right to arbitration and whatnot, I'm pretty sure at this point, any of those guys let go, there's now legal repercussions because
mm-hmm.
why? And again, depends completely on contracts, what was signed here and there. And I'm pretty sure even at this age, I'm not calling it a mistake because you're too grown. But at this age, having the lapse that you had, I'm pretty sure at least his legal team made sure to cover that, I would hope. Because otherwise, it's what? Like, that's at least over the last couple of years. We're talking at least what? 5 to 10 strong suits and a couple of minor ones. Like, y'all about to have a lot of issues. And then on top of that, add in like stuff that can kind of be circumstantial because 2 women are gone now with a whole bunch of slander behind their names. And
Yeah, buddy.
the woman's empowerment and all this stuff that we're doing now. And it's like, okay, what did these conversations really look like and how far can, and I'm not saying before people start, I'm not saying that they can, I'm not saying that they have a concrete argument. I'm saying that because of what has happened and the falling out, that realm has expanded exponentially now. There's a lot of backdraft that can be caught because you made terrible decisions.
Yeah, the really crazy part is a lot of people who are like their top tier superstars left because they said that they didn't feel really appreciated and they have like a development system called NXT. NXT is where they kind of make their WWE like name as far as that's concerned. But a lot of times their talent that is really really good in the promotion or in the developmental stage doesn't get the shine that it normally did. So that was the crazy part as well because then it was an opportunity for people that really just didn't have it. So it's kind of been crazy about that part. Juan, what did you feel when you heard all this stuff and that you heard that Vince was retiring?
Well, at first I didn't know what to feel. At
Mm-hmm.
at one point, it was like a roller coaster of emotions because I knew Triple H was going to step in, and that's
Mm-hmm.
something that I've been wanting for a long time for him to run the company because I think he has a brilliant ideas going forward and creativity. However, I didn't want him to take over like this
Mm-hmm.
because now I feel as if he's behind the 8 ball. I feel as if he he's put in a position where he may have to save this company.
Yeah.
The repercussions that's going to come from this mess, man, it's gonna be catastrophic. And I always said, man, Triple H and Shawn with Stephanie can run this company. I'm kind of hoping that Shane comes back.
Oh, they're not letting him come back at all.
They not
They said that there's not gonna be no power struggle. They said Shane is gone. He ain't coming back because, um, you know what I mean. Shane's been in and out of the business too much,
right,
and
right.
and then his decision making skills when it came to how, especially how he booked the last Royal Rumble, where he
Yeah,
wanted
I
to put
heard
himself. Yeah, he
he
wanted to put
screwed that
himself
up.
over
Yeah,
a lot of different talent. And
right.
at first, it was going to be Vince let him like kind of do the show for the Royal Rumble, but then
Uh huh.
after that, they were like he there were so many people coming up to him and being like, Vince, Shane's out of hand. They made him step down. So
Okay, so we know he's not coming back. So Triple H, Steph, to me, is like Triple H, Steph, and Shawn.
mhm.
To be honest, so I mean, he has to do a lot of cleaning up.
I just feel it's been crazy for Triple H. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's been crazy for
Go ahead.
Triple H because for those who don't know, he almost died. They
Right,
called it a
right,
cardiac episode, but like he had a heart attack
right.
like less than a year ago, and then after that, so they had to put a pacemaker in his heart.
Right.
And so then within that year, he's had a heart attack, had to have a pacemaker in his heart. He was then relieved of all his duties at NXT, which was crazy because NXT was actually doing better numbers than some of their flagship shows. But that was an issue. And then after that, so then he just started to come back, and then this stuff happens with Vince, and now he's taking control over not only he's the executive vice president of talent relations now,
I think he's the new. I think he
and
took.
head of creative too.
Yeah, he took Lord 90's role. I believe Lord 90's took JR role when JR
Mhm.
left, if I'm not mistaken. So he got a lot on his plate, but I know he has the backing of. He has a good support team. So
Yeah.
my main thing is, I hope this gonna sound crazy. I think Kevin Nash is doing something too. Now, I blame Kevin Nash for not for a lot of what WCW went through, but he a little bit falls on him as well.
Mhm.
So I just hope that it don't fall by the wayside. But at the same time, AEW kicking ass, dude.
Yeah.
So I think for the second time in this company's career, WWE, they are second fiddle.
I
So
agree.
like Triple H got his work cut out for him, and I know his health is not at the best, but I hope he can turn this thing around, because I do think he got a lot of good ideas. And for like certain talents, I'm glad that Triple H has stepped up, because I'll be the first one to say I was kind of frightened when Tommaso Ciampa went to Raw, because I thought the same thing was going to happen to him, happen to Keith Lee. But now that I know Triple H is running it, I think Triple H is going to look out for his people that comes from NXT to the flagship shows. I just hope that he turns Raw around, and Raw be the TV show on Monday night that it used to be. I understand that Rock and Stone Cold, they're not coming back through that door, but this is an opportunity to groom the younger talent, because in a couple of years, I believe Roman gonna step away. Randy's getting old. He's hurt. He has a back issue, and Lord knows I know about the back issue. So I just think, like, going forward, man, it's a good time for Triple H and Stephanie, and I'm gonna say Sean, to groom up and coming talent and make them superstars as well. Sorry I took too long, man. My
Man, you
bad.
fine? Eternity, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. Sorry I'm late.
You all good. So what do you feel? What did you first feel when you heard about the Vince situation?
In terms of him, in terms of what he did, or in terms of him stepping down?
I'm gonna talk about first with how he was when the first story broke about him, paying people off.
Okay. So for some reason, it just really did not surprise me. I feel like Vince and his, I hate to say yes men, but that's what they are. You know what I'm saying? He is surrounded by yes men who are comfortable in their positions, and they're so comfortable in their positions that they're going to do anything to protect the big bad. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when I first heard about it, all I could think was, oh, cuz you messed up. So then more information starts to come out about it. It's like, oh, you really messed up. Like, you think about all of the women, and I'm gonna tell you why I wasn't surprised about it, because he used to do a lot of this stuff on television.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of that stuff with Trish back in the day, and you know what I'm saying, him having these things with like Dawn Marie and the dad and Tori, and just he was basically using the divas at the time to get those like types of fantasies on. You know what I'm saying? And for us, you know, it was entertainment, but you know, it was still kind of like, that's a little heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that can happen in real life. And when you have a man that has that much money and that much power, people are gonna do whatever it has to be to be in to stay in those good graces. Get, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna reap the benefits too. So yeah, that was my initial reaction.
Yeah. Now that you say it like that, like I wasn't really surprised. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
Right.
so art is imitating life in this situation,
Exactly.
because like he used to be a womanizer on the television, like on his role. So when it came to
Right.
that, I was like, oh, and then after that, when it was like, okay, well, when it came to how much money he was spending, I was like, bro, that's just wasteful. Like, we just need to talk about your business skills. 'Cause that didn't make any sense at all.
Nah, man, I definitely agree. Like, and I remember stories coming out, but the women would never talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about like, Dawn Marie got pregnant and she was fired. Christy Hemme got tired of stuff, she got fired. You look at the women like Ashley Massaro, who won this diva search and was doing really, really well, and and then she ended up unfortunately committing suicide. And I have to think that when these stories come out, that some of these things that came almost, well, okay, so for example, I know y'all remember back in the day when all the divas used to be Playboy.
Yeah.
Like, how did the women get selected for Playboy? Who got to make those decisions? And what did they have to do? Because, it's understood like, okay, well, if you do this for me, then I'm going to make sure you get that cover of Playboy. You could be the next WWE diva in Playboy. You know what type of money that brings. You know what type of attention and attraction and XYZ. They was dropping the big covers down over the ring, you know what I'm saying, during the Attitude Era and all that kind of stuff like that, man. So it came across real, like you say, art imitating life once you actually start to pay attention and you start to think back about these things. So yeah, man.
What's really wild though is when you try to bring that up to some people, they swear up and down that that's not what it was. Like, I don't know if y'all just not, and I say y'all, I'm not talking about you guys, but I don't know if people just really want to try to hang on to a positive here. But I feel like Attorney just said, you can't have these situations and not look back and wonder about that now. And almost anything that has been touched at this point, you do now have to take under consideration, okay, how much of this was legit and across board, and how much of this now do we have to look at discrimination, and not just of the women either. That's where this really gets very awkward, is that you have these women who succeeded, quote unquote. What did it cost them? And then the talent that left, was it because they wouldn't sign certain, like, there's a lot of repercussions that are about to fall. And to their point, like Triple H, just last year was sick. That's a lot of stress that he's about to undertake. And so I have concerns even with him. It's like, yes, he's in a position that he shouldn't have to be in. And maybe he was being like prepared to take the position later. But now, you've taken it way earlier than you probably should have and wanted to, if you wanted to in the first place.
Well, I think he did, like, because if we look at it, he did a really good job at NXT. And I'm going to say this. I think the job that he did in the market that he created made it possible for AEW to be here where it was before then. Because Triple H fostered a style of like an indie style with these people, where it wasn't just like 3 moves that every wrestler did. Because like now that if you look at it, the only thing that they're really trained to do is to take like maybe a power bomb, a scoop slam, a backdrop, and a clothesline. You know what I mean? Like that's what everybody does. And it may be a DDT. But it's not too many of the wrestlers that really have a lot of skill sets, but you had these people coming from the indie scenes that could do a whole bunch of moves that, you know what I mean, that could shock and surprise you, and that's what opened it up for, because they knew that they weren't going to get their shine in WWE because Vince, like, no homo, he liked bigger guys. He liked, you know, the stocky ones, and so it was something kind of bad about that, where, like, you know, if you weren't 6+ 6'5", 6'6", and you weren't built, like, that was it. And so even now, if you look at what people that they had on there, up and when Vince was wrestling, he would still get the 7-foot person, and like that person they didn't know how to wrestle. Like, they were on the main show, they were on Raw last week or 2 weeks ago and didn't know how to wrestle, and so then they had to put them with people who did know how to wrestle so that they could get that, like, experience, and that's crazy.
For example, Omos.
Exactly who I was talking about. That big mo. He's like 7 foot tall. He got his teeth done. Did you see that? Because he used to have them like chiclets.
Yeah, he got the Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he got the veneers in. But he didn't know how to. KB, when I tell you, he didn't know how to wrestle. He didn't know how to talk on the mic. He was just there. He was just 7 foot of just there.
Listen, you can't be bad at wrestling and not have mics. That's a terrible combination.
He couldn't do anything. He would. My name is Omar, and like it was like he had a mouthpiece every time. He's been on the main roster for maybe a year and a half now, maybe 2 years, and he's had a mouthpiece the entire time. Like, they don't give him the mic. He'll just say, "I'm coming for you. Enter the person's name."
So I got a quick question, and I probably know the answer to this question. So Brock Lesnar walking out of Smackdown last Friday, was that the result of Vince's retirement, or did somebody piss him off?
I'm pretty sure it was about him retiring, but I don't think he'll mess up his own money though. He'll finish out this contract, but Vince was giving him way more leash than anybody else would. And I think especially with other people there, like with Triple H, I think he'll kind of be like, hey, listen, like, you don't have to work here all the time. And Marcus said the same thing. It was his love for Vince. And Vince, everybody said like it's like that he's a father figure to a lot of these people. But in the same instance, it was like 3 years ago at WrestleMania where he got mad at how the match ended with him and Roman Reigns, and he threw a title at Vince. Like, you can't do that shit. Like, you can't, like, if this is a professional surrounding, even if you don't like how things go, you can't just be mad and start throwing stuff. But, you know, and people are going to hold him to that standard. But Vince just always like, he'll be back.
Brock Lesnar is definitely not going to mess up his money.
Yeah.
But you know who's not coming back? Saban.
That's true.
And I've always wondered, even speaking on like the Vince situation, now that all of this is coming out, it's kind of like, you know, she understands that he got to go make his money, but that's why he don't stick around long. And I think that's why. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that he walked out of SmackDown because he was upset, like you said, because he got that love for Vince. I'm going to tell you something else that I noticed that started to come out too. It's like as soon as they named Triple H head of creative, it's almost like the wrestlers on the roster were kind of waiting, like, is this for real? Is this really gonna happen? Because they ain't really want to say nothing. As soon as it was confirmed, you know what I'm saying, and like Stephanie came out on SmackDown and she said what she said, they immediately in interviews started talking about how the creative process would always change like an hour to an hour and a half, and that Vince would like forget that storylines were, you know, like he would forget the direction of storylines, which is why we were getting the same match 10 and 12 weeks in a row on TV, because Vince literally would forget week to week that they had this storyline going on, and no matter what the writers would tell them, he would still go back and like change it. So like the writers were getting frustrated, which is why no one would ever stay.
and you always heard about writers leaving and going to do podcast interviews. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be good all the way around. But I thought about how crazy, like how fearful are you that you can't step on toes. Another thing is, like Vince loved his banned words. Like he didn't want to say nothing about professional wrestling. You couldn't mention anything about other organizations. And I'm sorry if y'all already covered this, because like I said, I know I was late. But did y'all catch Xavier Woods talking about the Viking Raiders and what they had done prior to WWE on SmackDown?
Oh yeah,
I saw that.
He said it real fast, but like just the fact that he mentioned, ROH and New Japan, where he said, the IWGP or whatever the case may be. When he said it, I just kind of paused, like, you got that out real quick, and it got real cluttered, and it was almost like Michael Cole and not Pat McAfee, because Pat don't care, but it was almost like Michael Cole forgot that Vince wasn't on the headset, because it's like he was trying to cut Xavier Woods off in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah, and that's crazy, because like I feel sorry for those people that have worked for him, like, because you hear all the stories once they leave WWE and they don't plan on coming back. Like when you talked about John Moxley or Dean Ambrose, depending on what you watch, he talks about how the creative process was just not, it wasn't in touch with anything. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I love Triple H. I think Triple H is more in touch with what's going on now to a certain extent than Vince was. I mean, I'm not saying that he's got his pulse on the finger, like his finger on the pulse of absolutely everything, but he's a way more understanding, and he listens, and he'll let you mess up so that you can be able to do what he has to ask you to do from that point. But like he's all about kind of that creativity and that collaboration between the wrestlers and also the management, which I think is great.
Here's the thing, though, and this is a plus for Tripp. Tripp can relate to all those wrestlers because he's done it. Vince inherited this from his pops. Triple H is in his blood is a wrestler, and he knows what it takes to get the job done, so he can relate to the locker room, and I think that's a good point too. But at the same time, like we were talking earlier, you think about all the wrestlers that left, and I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. You think about the hottest free agent still out there right now is Bray Wyatt. So if I'm Triple H, do you go get him, or you gonna let AEW pick him up?
Well,
which AEW locker room is getting kind of crowded right now.
Not only that, but I don't think Bray Wyatt would go to AEW. Like he's been a free agent for way too long to still be available. Like I think he wants to come back to the WWE.
Absolutely. And I think he made enough money, and I think he was wise enough with his money that he was able to just chill out. But I hear that like in the AEW locker room, if some of these people weren't locked down for these multiple year deals, some of them would be coming back. Like, they had to say, yeah. So Marcus said that AEW or Tony Khan isn't looking too good right now either, because he's been messing up a little bit with some of his talent, but that's because he's got too much talent.
Too much, yeah.
And not enough time to display everybody. Like there's no reason why you have all this talent, but then after that, like you can't do anything with them. So I think one thing that really would have been good for AEW and was really good for him beforehand was when they had those collaborations with like TNA and things like that, because then you don't have to necessarily book your person, but they're still in somebody's spotlight, and you could be able to do it from there. Because right now, like the fact that you can't have so many people, and you got so many people that people can't be able to see their favorites week to week. Like you see Chris Jericho every week, but his old ass need to sit down too. but it is just crazy. Yeah, they did take the belt off of Grisham. I don't think it was a mistake. I think because Grisham didn't have the star power, to be honest with you. Like, he was a great wrestler. He still is. But I think, if it's putting it on Claudio versus putting it on Grisham, I put it on Grisham too, or put it on Claudio too. And I think
did Grisham did he ask for his release?
Yep.
Because that's someone that I could see Triple H picking up, and he'll probably be good for WWE.
Yeah, I think that. So Marcus said he doesn't like the Grand Wizard Jericho. It's cool. It's great that he's there to do it, but I think sometimes his old ass need to sit down somewhere. And then I think sometimes they run their people down so much because that's why they're running into so many injuries. You know what I mean? CM Punk was injured. Daniel Bryan just came back. Kenny Omega should be coming back soon. And then I think there was a good plan, but I think how people have good plans for up to the first 2 or 3 seasons on something, and then after that they don't know what to do after that. I think we're in that point where Tony Khan doesn't kind of know what he wants to do in these certain situations. He's kind of playing it by ear. Because Chris Jericho, why do they keep giving Chris Jericho stables? Because he can't do shit by himself. That's a lot of work. He's a good mouthpiece. Yeah, he's a good mouthpiece, but he can't do nothing else. So
I tell you, someone who's gonna benefit from all this though, when he come back, that dang on Cody finna get pushed to high heaven. Because him and Triple H, they good boys too. So yeah, I expect Cody to come back and probably take the belt off of Roman, to be honest with you, if this match with The Rock though happens.
Yeah.
I don't think the match with The Rock needs a title.
I agree.
I don't think it needs a title. And I heard somebody said earlier that Roman is getting ready to. They think Roman's getting ready to leave in a few years. I'll be real with you, man. I think it's gonna be sooner than that. I feel like Roman Reigns, they're giving Roman Reigns this long title run because he about to legit enter that John Cena, Brock Lesnar territory. Once they take the belt off of him, I just say, let's say they do something at SummerSlam. You know what I'm saying? Might not be Brock, might be Theory. Theory might try to cash in, he might do something, I don't know. But I think by Survivor Series, I think that belt comes off of Roman, and then we don't see Roman again until maybe the Rumble. It's gonna be something like that. I don't know, man. I got Roman is legit trying to enter that Hollywood territory, just like The Rock.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that can happen that would be
that match for WrestleMania Hollywood. That's how you set that match up. You got Hollywood star Roman Reigns versus Hollywood star The Rock and their cousins. I don't think you need the title for that.
So, I agree.
Yeah, that'll draw by itself.
Yeah. I think so here's what I think should happen. I think good storytelling would be that you have Roman lose to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has the title. Cody Rhodes comes back and wins the Royal Rumble, and then they have a rematch of WrestleMania for the title, and that's where Cody wins the title from that point.
I'm with you on that. I think that's because Roman does have a track record of not being able to beat Seth, especially in big matches. So I mean, I think that's I think you're right.
And then that way you have the feel good story with Cody coming back after all the rest of it. You got that payoff, because that payoff is yeah. And shout out to Cody Rhodes too, man. I understand why he's frustrated, because when I looked at how he was treated in AEW, like we didn't really appreciate him like we should have in AEW.
No, didn't give him his flowers at all.
Man, like when he had second degree burns on his back when he went through a table, I was a little like I was like, man. And then you think about all the matches and how he put on certain people, like how he put on Darby Allin, how he put on Sammy Guevara, how he had stuff with pretty much all the people that are now big star players now. He gave them that rub. And you know, it would have been awesome though if they would have made him like if they would have stayed together a little bit longer, and then he just could have been the ROH champion. You know what I mean? But
I mean, it's one thing. One thing I want Triple H to do, and I'm really serious about this. Is I think the Intercontinental title needs to be respected more. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like it's respected as it should be. You know, I know old boy got it. What's his name? Gunther. But I just think it's more of a okay. You're not a heavyweight champion. Here's the title. Just go run with it. I think that title needs to have some type of importance, because as of right now it don't. And the title that Bobby Lashley got, I mean, I'm glad they put it on him to a big name to have that title. But those titles needs to have more importance, because if you look at the history of both belts, man, I mean, to me, my favorite wrestler of all time held the United States title, man. That's Arn Anderson. And so that means a lot to me, you know what I'm saying? Because I love me some Arn Anderson, dude. Like when they had the 40th, not 40, but anniversary edition of the Four Horsemen action figures to come out, I bought that shit. You know what I mean? So those titles need to have some type of relevancy to it, man. Like he need to have like a big match feel. So once you get the IC title, you know down the line at some point, man, I'm gonna be in line for the heavyweight title. I just hope he brings those belts up some, and that'll be some importance, man, because that makes wrestling fun again. Because right now, man, you got Roman with both belts, and I'm like, shoot, can't nobody else get no shine with the title because he got them. And to Roman's credit, I mean, to be honest, I don't really see nobody deserving to even carry the belts besides Cody and Seth Rollins at this point. So I just think those titles need to have more importance on the brands and on the shows than what they are now.
Well, I think over the last couple of years they've shot themselves in the foot, and I think because, like, say for instance, if you look at like Shinsuke was a beast when he first came out there,
Right.
but then they didn't push him the right way, and then they kind of made him back down to like a whole. They made him back to like a stereotype for the most part, like where they were doing like the whole no speaking English. No, like he's so much better than that. So they messed him up. I think Marcus said they did really mess him up. Like AJ Styles, you know, have something where they put something on him. Like he doesn't mind because he's getting older to help bring people on, but like he still has stuff where he was a really good like champion. But I think they really messed up a lot of stuff, and it's unfortunate that that Vince retired now versus like 2 or 3 years ago. Because if it was 2 or 3 years ago, I think AEW and WWE are a little bit closer, and I think we have better wrestling and better shows going on.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that they are changing as well, because we didn't even talk about this, they are going from a TV TV PG rating to TV 14. So what do you guys expect to see change as far as the format is concerned?
Blood. I think that if you go TV 14, I think it just allows you to do more realistic stuff. One thing that I do like about AEW is the fact that their promos don't feel scripted. They don't feel forced. It's like people really, it's just they having conversations, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you pissed me off, I'm finna go fight. Let's do what we need to do. I don't know if y'all have been keeping up, you know what I'm saying, with AEW and stuff like that recently. But man, heel Christian is a menace. Heel Christian is about as bad as Roman Reigns is on that mic. And I mean, he has been ruthless, bruh. Like, ruthless.
Bruh, the way he talked to Matt Hardy about Jeff Hardy,
the
way that he first came out and he was talking about Jungle Boy, heel Christian is that dude. Like, and I'm gonna say this: heel Christian, like Jungle Boy tried to come out and tried to make himself feel better about that one. He was like, "You're a pussy, this, and this," and I was like, "All right, but you not going to address the fact that he talked about your mom, your deceased father." You know what I'm saying? He was deep into it, so it was crazy as far as that's concerned. But man, it was a lot. He was not playing around. I still think that Luchasaurus is going to betray him because he's still wearing that black, and I don't trust him.
Yeah, I can see that too.
So, man, yeah, but you are absolutely right. I think the promos are definitely something that need to be better. And hopefully they'll learn to sink or swim a little bit more when it comes to WWE as far as that's concerned. So I think that's one thing that they can do a whole lot better. I think another thing is I want them to show more personality, because they're just like, you know how in wrestling you make a generic person? That's what all their promos and their personalities come out as. I just want something else.
Definitely. I was gonna say, I agree with you on that for sure.
Like, I think the only people that really have their own personalities are some of those older people that have already worked the system. Not like, I like Riddle. I think that's really cool. I think Seth is really good right now when it comes to that. When it comes to anything else as far as that's concerned, I don't think that they've had a really good amount of people that have worked for them. So it's crazy. But you guys comment below as well if you guys have some suggestions, anything like that. It's just been crazy though. So who do you like WWE wise right now?
Who do I like WWE wise? I like Cody. I mean, I love Roman. I love the Roman that we have right now.
Yes.
Like, I think that, and I kind of wanted to go back to this, and I know we're talking about as far as wrestlers that we like. I think that Triple H, and I feel like Triple H is going to basically make main roster where NXT could have been. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that I understand that we probably will never get Black and Gold back. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's too far into this 2.0 era. But at the same time, like, I'm kind of like you. I like Riddle. I'm really hoping that once we get past the plan, we'll do a hard reset, because Ciampa is somebody who can really see Triple H taking a hold of and doing more with. Like, don't give me this no interest Ciampa. I want Blackheart back.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I really like Ciampa, and Ciampa has the skills to be able to do what he needs to do. What you said about Shinsuke, I absolutely agree. I was at that Mania, man, when he lost to AJ, and I was like, I can't believe y'all did this. I'm also kind of hoping that they start to push a few more of these women,
Like, I'm really hoping that they get Sasha and Naomi back. I'm hoping that when Charlotte comes back, they don't send her to the moon like Vince did. I think that she needs to work a little bit more forward. I'm also hoping he does something with KO because I love Kevin Owens. And I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that when his contract came up, he didn't leave. But then part of me was kind of like, no, I'm not. Because like y'all said earlier, AEW has way too many people. You know what I mean? Like, half the people that I started watching AEW for was because they were different. But now AEW almost feels like WWE light. It's kind of like WCW was in the 90s. You knew every time somebody left WWE, eventually they were going to pop up on WCW. Because they wanted all of those stars, you know what I'm saying, that had made their names elsewhere. And that's kind of where they fell into that. But oh man, I feel like I'm drawing blanks right now. I love the Street Profits. I really want the Street Profits to. I hope they don't break them up. I hope they don't break the Street Profits, because I feel like you can give the Street Profits the same type of run y'all gave the New Day. Like, you don't have to break them up in order for them to do what they do. I like Bianca. I love Bianca Bella. They toned her down a lot when she came to the main roster.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't have her spirit anymore. It's just like she used to be. She used to have, like, how they say, black girl magic when it came to it. Like, she was unapologetically, like, black. She was unapologetically like, I'm gonna do me. Like, right. And that it was still funny to me. She was like, you don't even go here. What?
Yeah. That girl, like, she for the casual fan, people always talk about casual fans. For the casual fan who didn't really watch wrestling, if you were flipping channels and you came across this black girl on TV that was fit as hell, kicking ass, she got this long ghetto ass ponytail, she with. It's her dialect, it's her vernacular, it's the things that people unfortunately try to stereotype, but it's not really a stereotype. You know what I mean? It is. She, like you said, she was authentically her, and you can tell the difference that it was her being authentic versus, some manufactured BS that they try to give black people on WWE programming because, I think black people act like this. No, black people don't act like this. You just think they act like this, and you're trying to make that appear on TV, i.e., Crime Time, or when New Day first came out, they were preachers, and little stupid stuff like that, man.
Hey man, you said something about the Street Profits, and I wanted to go back to it, but before that, Marcus put in there that Kevin Owens deserves a belt. That goes again, man. I think like one of those titles, the IC strap or the US title, could go on Kevin Owens, and I think he'll take it and run with it and bring some respect back to the belt. But when you said something about the Street Profits, man, I get so nervous every time I watch them because I could see the push that they give Bianca's husband. And I'm thinking, man, please don't leave D'Angelo by himself, because I don't think he's gonna survive that dude. Like, if you split them up, man, I don't think they're gonna push him right, and he's gonna fall by the wayside. I think together they are a dynamite team, and I think his name ain't D'Angelo, ain't that his name? Why? Oh, I'm giving this nigga a name. Probably is.
It's Angelo Dawkins.
It's Angelo. Okay, so I think he's a good wrestler, man. But if you break him up, man, you know the other one gonna get pushed to high heaven, but then the other dude just gonna be like, man, fall by the wayside. I get so nervous every time I watch them fight, because I do think ain't no problem in it. They are the best tag team in WWE. I I put them to say they the best tag team in wrestling right now, in my opinion.
If
But
you
I
break
just,
up the Street Profits, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
yeah, I just hope they don't do it, man, because Angelo, man, I don't want him to fall by the wayside, man, because he a chunky dude. I'm a chunky dude. Like, I respect that. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope they don't break him up, man. If they do, man, I'm gonna be heartbroken for sure. I I just don't. I don't think him as a singles. They won't give him the chance to be a great singles competitor. You know what I'm saying?
If you break up the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins becomes the Tucker from Heavy Machinery.
Right.
Dawkins was in developmental hell until Montez Ford came around and they made them
That's
Street
what I know.
Profits.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like you, man. I am fearful for that. And you know, I don't know if, I mean, don't get me wrong, Montez Ford is athletic as all hell, man.
He is, man.
But Dawkins is not a bad wrestler. And it's what I didn't like was that you could tell the chatter was starting to get to him a little bit, because people they would talk about this every week after TV. And what wrestlers do now, they run to social media. You know what I'm saying? Go see what people was talking about they match. And all people ever talked about was Montez Ford. And even he had to put out, be like, don't, like, I see the rumors, like, but bro, I ain't chop suey. And then if you notice, right after that, they started giving Angelo Dawkins more singles matches.
Yeah. But you notice Montez Ford beat up too.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me wrong, he is preparing for that phone call.
Oh yeah. And
he can lift as much as Bianca now.
Yeah, they had they had an interview with him, and he was like, he has dreams of being a heavyweight champion. I'm like, there it is, there it goes. It starts right there with that comment. And so, I mean, like, if you are a wrestler, I mean, you do have dreams of becoming world champion. But since he said that, man, you kind of see it coming, man. I'm like, oh no.
Let me ask y'all a question. Do you think that eventually, and I ain't saying like in the next year or two, but probably within like the next 5 years, do Bianca and Montez get to run? Do they get to run as like that black power couple in the WWE?
I think it's a possibility now that Vince isn't there.
If Vince was there, that shit went on.
I think one thing that would be really good is them having a mixed tag with Becky and Seth versus Montez and Bianca. I think that would be really dope. And like, say for instance, one like Bianca could have the women's championship, and say Seth has the heavyweight championship, and that a winner take all match. I think that would be dope.
I think that'd be dope too. I see
the one thing I'm really excited about is, like, Triple H does not mind listening to people, like to people. You know what I mean? Like, and but he still has his own ideas. But I think it's really, really a whole lot better than what normally was happening, because beforehand it was just like, it's Vince's idea, he's gonna put it all together. Like, it took real convincing versus, like, say for instance, what would happen now. Excuse me. So yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think Montez can be somebody like a D'Lo Brown type, wrestler. You know what I mean? And I think it can be good and even great. Like, but I think a part of it is, I think his laid back, like, demeanor, like that, like, doesn't really translate as well as far as the passion that you normally need to see out of a wrestler. But yeah, I think it can be really good though. What else? I'm just saying AEW is lucky that some of these people have like they came on. Well, Tony Khan was talking to somebody. I think it was Chris Van Vliet, and he was saying how Aleister Black and Adam Cole both have like 5-year deals, so they're not going anywhere until like 2027. So it's crazy because you know what I mean. And that's the same situation. He's locked up not only those two wrestlers, but also the wrestlers like what was her name, DMD, the
Britt Baker.
Britt Baker, because they're going together. So then you stop that from going on. I mean, it's hopefully I think this is going to be more about, and especially with Stephanie kind of still overseeing everything, it's going to be more merit based versus based off of looks, because I think that's a lot of times where people were getting kicked off because there is no reason why the Iconic should have gotten kicked out. There's no reason why people like what's his face, Braun Strowman. You know what I mean? He went from wrestling in the main event of a pay-per-view 1 month to being released the next month. And you were trying to say that it was about financial stuff, but then you over here spending millions of dollars on on some tail. And that's not good business sense. It's not.
So do you think some of those guys will come back?
I think they'll come back. I think they'll come back for Triple H. Because I think Triple H can promise them an opportunity to do their best. Like, because if you think about it, and one person that I think that may actually come back, and it may be a really good thing for the men's and the women's division, is Johnny Gargano, and his wife Candice LeRae. I think that would be really, really good. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of the new style of, I call it like the indie style, like the indie wrestler style. You can't really beat that because it's like, to me, it's like anime. So anime, when you have people like, if you look at the first season or the first part of Naruto, people like the kids was getting their ass beat, right? But then you was like, they had heart though. So like, you was like, man, they had heart. Like they may not have been able to take on this person, but you know what I'm saying? Like they wasn't no bitch. And like you can say the same thing, and that builds both people. You know, the same thing from that point. Do you think Velveteen is ever gonna come back to wrestling?
Nope.
He wants to though. He wants to.
I want Leo Rush to come back to WWE. I think he'd be good.
I think he would too under Triple H. You know who I think would come back before, and I mean like even they like, yeah, I really want Bray to come back. I wouldn't mind seeing Braun back, but you can't bring him back in that dumbass. You can't bring that guy back.
Right. Yeah.
I think like with him, the stuff that he's doing with this control your narrative thing, and being the Titan Adam Shearer, I think if you bring him back as like the Titan Braun Strowman because you own that name, I think you can do that. I'm gonna tell you, the one person that I feel like would come back before any of them, now that Triple H is in charge, I think you bring back Karrion Kross to Scarlet.
Yeah.
Because the presentation that Karrion Kross had in NXT, as opposed to the presentation that Vince put on him with that dumbass helmet, that old Farouk helmet that they dragged out and painted red and brown and black. If you bring Karrion Kross back and you make him the guy that he was in NXT, like that silent killer type, you got Scarlett, who is just sexy as hell, and you keep her in that manager role as just kind of like that vixen look, man, which she can wrestle too, but we never saw that out of her. You know what I'm saying? She does good in that role. But Karrion Kross is a guy that I could have seen carrying the world title on the main roster.
Randy Orton was like, bruh, if you don't get your ass up here to the main roster so me and you can have a program. And he said that on Twitter. And I was like, when you have somebody like that has that clout, but then after that, and like it was so bad because they put him in that gimmick, and everybody was like, it was like, man, like, and then when they released him, everybody was like, well, that's not even his fault. You know what I mean? Like, and like they said, and I'm gonna probably, I feel bad for Vince a little bit, because if his mental is deteriorating that much where he doesn't remember that he's in different storylines, I think that's going to be something that's going to play out too. And I don't want him to go down as somebody, you know what I mean? Like, he has a really great legacy, good or bad, but you know, it's a legacy of what he helped us grow up on, good or bad as well. And so it's something that I hope he does better, and I hope, you know, they give him that privacy.
Let me ask y'all, like, I know we talk about individuals. Who would you want to see come back, but is probably least likely to make a return?
That's a good one. John
because
Moxley?
Mox probably he probably ain't coming back.
Mm-mm.
He probably ain't coming back. For me, the one, you know, some of them releases I was just kind of like, oh, well, that was stupid. You know, the one that really pissed me off, I was really mad what they did with Hit Row.
Yeah.
I felt like Hit Row could have this. They basically put the Street Profits in the Hit Row position, because if you really think about it, like how they had a Street Profits introducing like the shows and talking about the match cards and stuff like that, that's what Hit Row was. Hit Row was a group of people that they had all, well, besides Brandy. Brandy was the rookie when it came to wrestling, bro. But like Swerve and AJ, like you had AJ hosting one of your A&E shows, the Most Treasures.
So they let him go too?
Bro, they let the whole squad go.
They let the whole crew go.
I thought he was still on there.
And no, you know, y'all know why they released Hit Row?
Why?
Because they went to bat for Brandy.
Oh
man.
So Lauren,
They like, to me, you don't have Hit Row. Like her voice made the song, because that was her voice on the that was their record. They made that record. That was their entrance. And her voice was the part that you remember the most. That Hit Row, like that's her. So if you remove her, she's like the spirit of the track. She's the spirit of the song. And so Vince probably thought she was too much like Bianca, which I didn't think that at all, because you know the only thing was she was small like her, and she was black. You know what I'm saying? But Hit Row itself was a completely different entity, bro. You could have had Hit Row feuding with New Day all day if you wanted to. Give us some different matchups. Give us some, just think about that. You had Adonis, who was basically the counterpart for Xavier. You got Swerve and Kofi, and then you had AJ and Big E.
Yeah.
Like, bro, they could have made. They could have made magic. They could have really made some money with Hit Row, and they dropped the ball because they weren't stereotypical black faction, and I feel like that's why they dropped them, because they were over without having to do the stereotypical stuff that they want them to do.
You know what's even crazier? What they got when they got rid of the Hurt Business, and then what other group was that they went against that what's his face was a part of, where it was Mustafa Ali, whatever his
Retribution.
Yeah. Well, that was stupid in the first place, but I was happy to get rid of them. But like I like the idea, but then they've already done that idea too with what what was it with
The
Eric
Nexus.
Young? Yeah,
Oh yeah, it was Sanity. Sanity.
yeah. So it was
Yes.
crazy though, because they essentially just, and that's what I think they're talking about, like them doing the same gimmicks and him not being like, he's like, oh, it's gonna be great shit. So
Such good shit.
good shit. So but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, hopefully you'll have with that, because it sounds like everybody who's a part of that old like regime is either retiring or, you know what I mean, stepping aside. So hopefully you get some new blood in there. I really hope that they allow Paul Heyman to be like more of a writer again, because that was really good. I'm sad though. I am kind of sad that they have so many people that are on AEW, because I would love to see Buddy Murphy back in WWE. I'd love to see, like, man, if they had, what's his face, Aleister Black back over there, or Malachi, that would have been dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to do something, and I think a part of that is, I think Vince was afraid of stables, to be honest with you, because then that gave them a lot of leveraging power when it came to like actually contract negotiations and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? I think honestly it helped for great stuff, because you could always relate to somebody in the group.
You're right.
They need to bring back the European title too.
Did anybody? I'm sorry. I thought I saw Marcus ask what was the question earlier.
Yeah, he was asking what the question was. The question was, if what superstar would you want to see back in the WWE now that Triple H is there, that is probably like a no-go?
I'm gonna give you one. He's in AEW, but I want his AEW gimmick in WWE, and that's Rusev.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that God's favorite champion or whatever, man. His promos are, now looking back when he was in WWE and his promos now, man, it's night and day difference. Like, this dude, I was like, man, this dude is nice. They need to put a belt on him immediately. Yeah.
The Redeemer.
Yeah. I would like to see him, that gimmick in WWE, and run with that.
Yeah, I think that would be dope. I like Eddie Kingston's "Redeem These Nuts" though. I definitely want to get that T-shirt. So, yeah, man, it's a brave new world out there, man. Like, I think this is kind of taking some shine off of AEW though, because AEW has entirely too many people. Even with Ring of Honor and them trying to make a new story or a new show from there, I still think that's a lot of wasted talent. And it's sad, man. Like, you know, you got Andrade, I would love to see him come back. And it's going to be something where he's gonna either get released or Charlotte. I don't know how much left is on her contract. Somebody's got to do something there, because they're husband and wife now.
I think Charlotte has enough leverage and power where they'll bring Andrade back. Like, Andrade is one of those people that I just don't see them. I will say that AEW don't release nobody. They just let their contract expire and don't renew them. And I think when Andrade's contract is up, I think he goes back. I just hit Charlotte is his wife. You know what I'm saying? And then Zelina is still there. So if you wanted to pair them back up together, you can pair them back. Like, it's there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it would even be better if like Zelina and Charlotte had a fight, because you thought that, you know what I mean, that she was getting too close to her husband. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, she's like, well, you can go back to where you know, why don't you go mess with your husband? And they slap each other, all that good stuff.
You know, in Nashville, they Andrade gonna be his Ric Flair partner for his last match. So, I mean, I also think Triple H got the fortitude to go up to Tony Khan and buy that damn contract out if he wanted to. and bring him back to WWE.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be a lot, and then after that, like I don't think they want to set the precedent of buying out contracts like that, because then after that, like you got to come with it, and like I know Charlotte hasn't been the best to work with, also, so that may be an issue too. But
how long is Andrade's contract with AEW?
They didn't say, but who knows? But Ric Flair's old ass need to sit down. I'm glad this is his last match. He man, listen. Man, I saw the little documentary that they were doing. He deserved to get his ass whooped. If somebody had talked to me like that, I'd have whooped the shit out of him too.
Where did y'all see where he wanted to take a dive off the top rope to the outside, and Charlotte told him to cut the shit? She's like, "You're not doing that. You're not doing that. Sit your ass down."
Mm-hmm. Did you on the documentary? And I can't make this shit up. Every time he would take a bump, his life alert would go off, so he would have to stop.
Oh man.
He would have to stop and turn the life alert off because they thought that he had fallen and had an accident.
No.
Oh man.
Yeah, I hadn't. What is it on?
I just saw it on YouTube, and
I have to look it up, man. I hadn't seen it. I'm gonna have to go watch that.
Man,
So-
like it's like a
that-
4-part documentary series.
So that tells you either Andrade gonna carry 99.9% of the match, or this match gonna be extremely short.
I know.
Who
I think
is-
here's
Who is Jay Lethal's partner in the match?
Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jay Lethal trained Ric Flair for this match, so I'm sure that whatever they trained on is probably going to be whatever Flair does in the ring with Jay Lethal, and then he might spend, a couple of minutes chopping the shit out of Jeff Jarrett. But like,
Here's what I think will happen. I disagree with you. I think that Rick is going to be in there, get his ass whooped. He's going to go ahead and take all these L's, right? And then after that, Andrade's going to come in there. And then after that, Rick's going to kind of charge up, get his energy back. And at the end, like he's going to put somebody, Andrade and Rick are going to put them both in the figure 4. And that's going to be the end of the match.
okay,
Because I can see him, because Rick's not going to want to sit on the apron the whole entire match. He's going to want to get his ass whooped. He's going to want to be able to get cut open the hard way.
His old butt ain't gonna have no choice but to sit on outside
Nah,
the ring.
bro. Ric Flair, when have Ric Flair done anything sensible?
never.
Never.
Thank you. I got to tell you a funny story though. My girl, I was telling her because my frat brother he worked at Dallas for WrestleMania last year, and so he got to meet Ric Flair, and Ric Flair was like, "Where the hoes at?" And so then I told her that, and I love her so much. She just was like, "Why would he need a garden hose?" And I was like, "Oh God, no. No, I was speaking of women of ill repute. That's what we're talking about. Upper management, I love you. There you go. So, yeah, man, it's been I don't know. Ric Flair's old ass. He just needs to sit down somewhere. He got his ass beat by Karen Jarrett. I still don't trust her. But like she slapped him a couple times, held him up. It was all bad. At least he didn't talk nasty to. If he talks about being Space Mountain, I swear to God, I'm gonna just turn it off.
I got a friend of mine. She met Ric Flair at the World Games in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago.
How did that go for her?
I mean, she didn't. She just said that she got the picture or whatever. But he looked beat the hell up. Like that training whooping his ass more than he gonna get his ass whooped in this match.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean he busted open and everything. Like I don't know, man. Rick gonna fuck around and die in the ring. Like God forbid. But
He need this money,
It
bro.
makes me very uneasy that he wants to do all of this. Like,
He needs his money, man, and that's the part that that scares me, because like he's made a lot of money over here, you know, over the last couple years, but they said that alimony be whooping his ass, and
I
so
bet.
And
and
he paying alimony to 3 different women.
I think so.
I was gonna say Ric Flair got 237 ex-wives. He broke.
And you know, hey, you remember the latest one, that Wendy chick? He didn't even marry her. They just had a ceremony. He
What?
played her. Bruh, they went through. They didn't get the license. It was just a ceremony. So he was like, he's not gonna legally marry you. He just was like, we gonna say these words, and that was it.
Man, no.
And then Wendy's old ass came right on back too. That made no sense.
Bruh. That's wild. Mm.
Well, SummerSlam is this weekend. I just want to.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop here. I'm gonna ask you guys, who do you think's gonna win the main event? Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
Roman?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Roman too. Roman too. Go
You
ahead.
think Theory's gonna come back? You think Theory's
Yeah.
gonna?
I feel like if I've seen the fan theories where they think that it's just they gonna knock each other out. Theory's gonna come in, cash in, and like pin one of them. I don't think that happens. I don't think it goes down like that. I feel like if he does cash in and they decide to take the title off of Roman, I think it ends up in a situation where maybe like the bloodline helps Roman win, but Brock like just flips and loses his shit, and he whoops everybody's ass, and then Theory comes out.
It's got to be something like that, because if the bloodline don't come out to save him, like you got to have all those members out of there. Now, here's the thing that I think would be a twist. I think, okay, you know how Theory was a part of Seth Rollins' like little congregation? What if he gives the Money in the Bank thing to Seth, and then after that, Seth wins against Brock and Roman Reigns again, like he did a couple years
At
ago?
Mania,
Yeah.
like he made a deal with the devil. He traded his briefcase for a one-on-one match with Seth after he wins the title. I can see that. You know what I just thought about too, though? This is a last man standing match, ain't it?
Yeah.
They really could knock each other out, and then he could just come cash in and stand there, because he's been trying to win a lot of matches lately by count out. He's been trying to win a lot of matches lately by count out. Maybe that's foreshadowing.
Ooh, what if it's a triple threat last man standing match and they're both of them knocked out and he's the only one standing?
That's what I'm saying. He could literally run in, cash in the briefcase, and like, well, they would have to ring the bell so the count would start over. But yes, like they could knock each other out. His music could hit, run down, cash in, and then he like have them ring the bell, and then he just stand in the middle of the ring.
That would be dope. Now that you say
That
it
would piss every single fan in that stadium off, but it would be the troll thing to do. He is a troll. That would be the ultimate troll thing to do. Him taking a selfie with the title.
Oh, no, taking a selfie while they're on the ground and he's winning like this.
Yes. Oh, that would be horrible. But it'll happen. I can see it happening. I can see it happening.
We are gonna have to get together, all of us, one of these times, and just like watch and have a reaction video or reaction to watching the video or watching the pay-per-view. What do they call them now? Premium live.
Oh, like a watch party. Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
Hey man, I hear y'all saying about Theory. I don't like this dude, man. I hope he don't come out. Well, if he do come out, I hope somebody lay his ass out. I don't like this guy, man. I don't know what it is about him. He just don't do nothing for me, man. Like he's there because of Vince. And now, like Roman said Monday, Daddy gone. I
Have you
hope
seen any of his work when he was in Evolve?
Nope.
He's nice.
I like Theory as a wrestler, but I hate this gimmick that Vince put him in. Like, is that chosen one gimmick? I don't like the gimmick. But at one point in time, Evolve was like NXT for NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got put on to Theory, he was the Evolve World Champion. And this was before he came to NXT. He was like 19 or 20, and he was their world champion. He was kind of like a prodigy for them. And I don't know what it is, man. I don't like none of the gimmicks they gave him, except for when he first got that. When he first got that, he was still like Theory from Evolve. But then they put him like in the way and made him dumb. Then they brought him to the main roster, and he was part of Andrade little stable. Then he was a part of Seth Rollins' little stable. Mm-hmm. And now they just made him a selfie troll. But like, if you can find, matter of fact, you ain't gotta go find it. It's on Peacock. It's on the network. Go look up some of that Evolve stuff, man, that he did. I mean, he can go, but he's annoying as shit.
And I think that's what it is, man. I think that's what it is. He's just annoying.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll check it out.
That's what they're trying to do, but I think it'd be good. I think I'm sad to see that they're not gonna have that Seth Rollins versus Riddle match.
Yeah,
Riddle out.
So Riddle's out. Is that what happened?
Yeah, he got hurt. He had a stinger in one of his arms, and he lost strength and range of motion in it. So they said he's gonna sit out until he gets his strength in that arm back.
Well, that sucks. That injury bug is kind of strong this year.
It is.
Bro, so, we'll have to resume this another time, gentlemen, to see what happens after SummerSlam. I would love to see it where, Austin Theory just stands up after everybody's down, and that's how he wins the title, and then there it is. Or like, say for instance, he does like an A-Town down to Brock Lesnar to make sure that he stays down, and then after that, just takes it from there.
Accident.
So, yeah. But Marcus said, his gimmicks are shit. Yeah, they are. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know what to do with him, man. They just know that he's a good wrestler. He's got a good look, and they just were like, okay, well, we're just gonna keep giving you different gimmicks until something fits. So, because it made no sense. Well, he got in trouble, and that's why they took him from being in Seth Rollins' group, because he had said something, or they found something in his tweets, something like that, I think. And then they were like, "Oh, sit your ass back down to NXT." And then they were like, "Okay." And so then he got over in NXT with the Wwe being a dumbass, and they were just like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna bring you back up here." So, well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure and an honor. And what I want to tell everyone is that I want you guys to be like the Hulk. I want you guys to smash that follow, like, subscribe button. And we're going to be like Morgan Stark. We're going to love you 3,000. But until then, we're going to end this just like as if we were in the NWO, if we were in DX, and we're just going to give you a just too sweet. All right, sweet. We got it done.